In the 7th year of their marriage, Chen Ming cheated on his wife. The person being supported was not only a 20-year-old college student, but also a junior girl from my college class. He didn't want to get a divorce and kept saying that he only loved me, but he maintained an ambiguous relationship with the other party and even brought her into his house. Because the pain was so severe, I chose to let him go free. But I never expected that he would bite back, accusing me of being cold-hearted, and saying that he just made a mistake that all men in the world would make, and he shouldn't be condemned with one stroke. 1. Early Friday morning after sending my child to kindergarten, I sat down and said, "The company has sent me to Jiangcheng on a business trip for a few days. I will leave soon, and Xingxing will be handed over to you." Chen Ming was stunned for a moment, but quickly reacted and assured her, "Don't worry, I will take good care of her. You look a little haggard. Why don't you take a few days off after you return from your business trip? It's just right for our family of 3 to go on a trip. Anyway, we don't need the little money you make now." He spoke seriously, and when he looked at me, his eyes were full of tenderness, as if I was everything to him. But who could have imagined that he would keep a mistress outside for 2 years? He is truly a master of time management. I was disgusted by his hypocritical face, so I looked away, forced myself to drink a sip of orange juice and said perfunctorily, "Let's talk about it when we get back." However, in response to my indifference, Chen Ming simply thought that I was reluctant to leave him and his daughter, so he continued to chat with me, telling me all kinds of funny stories and trying his best to make me happy. Even before leaving, he kissed my forehead with great care and coaxed me with a smile. "Don't be unhappy. If you really don't want to go on business trips, just quit your job and go home to be a rich wife. Your husband can support you." Because he benefited from the logistics business, Chen Ming has indeed made a lot of money in recent years, and his business has grown bigger and bigger. But I don't know when he started to change, becoming greedy and arrogant. He has forgotten the predicament we faced when we first got married and had to live in a dark and damp 20-square-meter rental house because we had little money. At that time, we had nothing but each other. Yet we lived a life full of hope. He felt sorry for me, and in order to give me a good life, he would work hard to get orders outside and drink until he had stomach bleeding. No matter how late it is, I will wait for him to come back, make him midnight snacks and boil soup for him. I thought we would love each other forever, but reality gave me a heavy blow. It turns out that whether a marriage can last to the end really depends entirely on one's character and conscience. 2. I discovered that Chen Ming was cheating based on my intuition. He was indeed very covert in his actions, but I just felt something was wrong for no reason. First, I thought I was being too suspicious. After all, my career was not going well at that time, so I was inevitably a little worried. Until I accidentally discovered that Chen Ming had downloaded several erotic movies and some snack remnants into his car. Almost instantly, I knew something was wrong with him. After all, we have been married for 7 years and together for 10 years. I know Chen Ming too well. As a straight man, he has never liked this kind of greasy and perverse romance movies. Even when he accompanies me to the cinema on holidays, he always falls asleep soon after the show starts. Not to mention eating spicy noodles in the car. But in his favorite off-road vehicle, I saw the thing that should not exist. How could I not think too much about it? It was only now that I realized that his so-called 2-week business trip a year ago was fake. At that time, he was with his lover because she had an abortion for him. No wonder he was in a particularly bad mood at that time and became impatient with his daughter. 3. After investigation, it was found that at first, the two people did have a thorough financial transaction relationship. The girl needed money to pay off her family's debts, and Chen Ming needed stimulation. But later, as they were bed partners, she fell in love with Chen Ming, a successful, handsome, and wealthy man. She wanted more and more, and her moral bottom line continued to drop. As for Chen Ming, he broke his own principles many times and allowed her to act unrestrainedly, which showed that he was moved. So under the pretext of this business trip, I installed hidden cameras in every corner of my house. Facts have proved that Chen Ming is a person who cannot stand it. The very next night after I left, he used the excuse of having a social engagement to send his 5-year-old daughter directly to my mother's house and openly brought a woman home. In the surveillance video, I saw the true face of his lover, a very young girl who looked to be in her 20s. She is youthful, bright, charming, and lovely, just like me when I was young. As soon as the two entered the room, They couldn't wait to kiss each other and directly performed a live sex scene. After half an hour, the passion faded, and Chen Ming held her in his arms, kissing her red lips again and again, as if he could not kiss her enough. He even said in a confused and passionate way, "Little devil, you really seduce me to death." The girl smiled coquettishly, then she lay on top of him, tilted her head and asked, "How does it compare to your wife?" Perhaps because he was talking about me, the lust in Chen Ming's eyes gradually faded. He pushed her away calmly, stood up and smoked a cigarette, then said slowly, "I love her very much. Sun-won, you should understand that I will not divorce her. I will only have her as my wife in this life, and no one can replace her place in my heart, not even you." He turned to look at her, his eyes full of seriousness. After Chen Ming said this, the air fell silent. It was as if something had broken. My heart ached a little bit too, and I felt sad and ridiculous at the same time. There is no doubt that Chen Ming still loves me, but it is also a fact that he cheated on me. He seemed to have found a balance point, wanting to maintain the integrity of his family while also being extremely greedy for the young and attractive body of a girl and pursuing novelty. Time passed little by little, and the girl named Sun-won looked at him silently, her eyes becoming redder and redder, and her tears dripped down one by one, flowing more and more. But even so, Chen Ming remained unmoved. After a while, she calmed down and softened her voice. "Of course I know, but I just can't help but fantasize. Why don't you want to comfort me, even if it's just a lie?" Chen Ming still remained silent, only looking at her with a cold, oppressive look. Because of Chen Ming's determination, Sun-won, who had already been trapped, finally gave in. She sniffed, walked forward and hugged his strong waist, choking with sobs. "Let's not talk about her, okay? You promised me that these few days belong to me alone. I don't ask for anything, I just ask that the first person you see when you get up is me, that I'm the one who ties your tie, that I'm the one who cooks for you just like a real wife, okay?" As she spoke, she unbuttoned the shirt he had just put on. Seeing that the girl was so well behaved, Chen Ming soon lost his temper. He turned around and reached out to rub the top of her head, his voice soft and slow. "This is what a smart girl does. Sun-won, to me marriage is nothing but a deadly grave. Why bother digging into it? I can guarantee that I can give you everything except the identity of my wife. I know, so I have never regretted getting in your car at that time." Moved by Chen Ming's words, Sun-won responded affectionately. After looking at each other for a few seconds, the two entangled together again. I couldn't hold it in any longer and ran to the bathroom to vomit violently. Disgusting, really disgusting. He keeps saying he loves me, but he always does things to hurt me. I still delusionally dream of having a red flag flying at home and colorful flags fluttering outside, so that I can enjoy the same blessings as everyone else. Because I felt so uncomfortable. After vomiting, I didn't even have the strength to stand up. He could only lean against the wall, gasping for breath. My temple was throbbing with pain and my heart was aching more and more, as if it had been stabbed accurately by a blunt knife. I could hardly bear it. In my mind, the wonderful memories of being with Chen Ming kept replaying. I laughed out loud, laughing at myself for being stupid and naive, for actually believing that he would never let me down. This night was destined to be restless. At 3 o'clock in the morning, my cell phone suddenly rang. It was my mother calling. She said Xingxing suddenly had a high fever of 39 degrees and kept crying for me. I called Chen Ming, but no one answered. "I'm on my way to the hospital now." In the video call, Xingxing was crying because she was not feeling well, and my mother looked very haggard because of the torment she was getting due to her old age. It is said that the night is the easiest time to make people break down. I couldn't hold it in anymore, so I covered my mouth and cried quietly.
"Mom, I'm sorry."
After my father passed away, her health has been a little poor. I clearly wanted her to live a good life, but I still made her run around for me again and again, which was stressful. After arriving at the hospital and undergoing a series of tests, the doctor quickly gave Xingxing an 4 drip. As the medicine dripped into her body drop by drop, she nestled listlessly in my mother's arms, her face covered with tear marks. As soon as he saw me, he started crying with a frown on his face. "Mom, it hurts so much." "It's okay. The stars are great. Mom will be back soon. Just listen to Grandma, okay?" My throat was so tight that I tried to swallow hard, but I felt a bitter taste in my mouth. For the first time, I felt that the night was so long. 5. Seeing that the fever was beginning to subside, at 6 in the morning, I couldn't help but call Chen Ming. But before he could get up and answer the phone, Sun Wan reached out and wrapped her arms around his neck, saying coquettishly, "I don't care. You can't go anywhere today. You can only stay at home with me. Stop it, I just want to see who it is." He patted the woman's bare back soothingly, and finally couldn't help but caressing it. "Then I'll help you watch it and you don't move." Sun Wan pouted, stood up and picked up the phone. She was indeed very smart. Even when she saw the word wife on the screen, she hung up the call without changing her expression, deleted the record, and then threw it into Chen Ming's arms, complaining that it was a harassing call. "I don't care. You belong to me today. Even your daughter cannot appear in front of me. And do you remember that our child was gone 1 year ago today? I know he shouldn't exist and couldn't be born, but I still can't completely forget him." After expressing her feelings, Sun Wan raised her head and looked at him with tears in her eyes, her voice soft and sticky. "Chen Ming, let's go see him, okay?" "Okay, I'll do as you say." Chen Ming was so obsessed with her that he no longer thought about his cell phone. He scratched her nose lovingly and started playing with her on the bed again. 6. The adult world is always collapsing and healing at the same time. After getting the company's order and finishing my work perfectly, I booked the earliest flight back that day without telling anyone. After arriving home, I felt uncomfortable seeing the house already cleaned by the housekeeping staff. No one knows better than me what dirty things they have been doing here in the past few days. They are in heat almost all the time. If I didn't need evidence that Chen Ming was cheating, I wouldn't even want to go in. An hour passed quickly, and after packing my own and my daughter's things, I called Chen Ming. When the call was connected, without waiting for him to speak, my first words were, "Chen Ming, let's get a divorce." Squeak. Hearing this, he stepped on the clutch while driving and the car braked suddenly. Then I heard a woman's coquettish voice. It was Sun Wan's voice, and she was crying in pain. I also vaguely heard her ask in a coquettish tone, "What's wrong with you? Why do you look so nervous? Are you so worried about me?" Then she changed the subject, her voice so sweet that it made you sick. "By the way, after we finish our meal, how about we go shopping? I want to buy some personal items and some casual clothes for you. You promised me that you would go on a business trip with me this summer." After hearing this, if I'm still not sure that Sun Wan did it on purpose, then I would be a fool. So, he was hanging out with her now and they were openly seen together. Ha! I finally couldn't help but chuckle, and I laughed so hard that tears came out. "Wife!" I pretended not to hear the tremor in his voice and told him coldly, "Regarding the divorce, I'll wait for you at our favorite coffee shop. If I don't see you within 15 minutes, I will go straight to the divorce process and let the court decide. At the same time, Xingxing's custody will belong to me. I can't let my daughter live with an irresponsible father like you. You don't deserve it." Hearing this, Chen Ming finally panicked. He was silent for a long time before cautiously probing, "Are you back? Are you too tired from work?" After asking, she didn't wait for my answer and continued to talk to herself. "It's okay. If you're too tired, just quit. Just one thing, I won't let you casually say the word divorce. We once swore to be together forever. You can't do this to me without any reason." "Chen Ming, don't you understand what I'm saying?" I couldn't stand it anymore and exploded. "I told you I want a divorce. As for the reason, you know it well. You don't have to come. There's no need for us to talk. I'll have my lawyer contact you about the divorce." I didn't want to talk to him anymore, so I hung up the phone immediately. Even if he called me again, I didn't answer. 7. Looking at the drizzle outside, I breathed a sigh of relief and completely let myself go. I have always been a person who can deal with bad emotions quickly. Since the meat is rotten, just cut it off, even though the process will be painful. But it is much better than waiting until the disease is rotten to the bone before thinking about curing it. After we got together, I reminded him that if he had someone else outside one day, he could tell me and I would leave, but he just insisted on responding to me like this. About 10 minutes later, Chen Ming came running in, looking very bad with blood on his arm. I pretended not to see it and handed him the divorce agreement. "Sign it. The child is mine. Don't try to struggle. Don't waste the last bit of affection I have for you. Don't make yourself even worse. Because I didn't leave any room for him to explain. The explanation that was about to burst out of his throat was instantly blocked, and his face turned pale. When did you find out? He looked at me with a complicated expression, opened his mouth with great effort, and asked the question with great difficulty. Now I am much calmer when facing him. I lowered my head, took out the wedding ring that I had taken off a long time ago, pushed it in front of him and said calmly, I had doubts a month ago. You will never know how I got through that time. Fortunately, he was busy with work and trying to make his lover happy at that time, so he didn't notice that I was avoiding him. It would be a lie to say that I didn't collapse. I even doubted myself in the beginning, wondering if I was not good enough that he did this to me. I once deceived myself and said, no way, he loves me so much, and his heart and eyes are almost full of me. How could he have a mistress outside? But the truth is so cruel that I cannot help but accept it. Later, I gradually understood that this is the bad nature of men. It's just that when faced with temptation, some people know how to restrain themselves and respect marriage, while others choose to indulge themselves completely. It was so quiet that you could hear a pin drop. After a long while, Chen Ming lowered his eyes, his tone mixed with a bit of dominance. You can hate me, blame me, punish me, but you can't ask for a divorce. I won't agree. You can only be my wife for the rest of your life. Disgusted by his shameless remarks, I chuckled and immediately opened the surveillance video to show him. Even if the facts are so clear, do you still think you have a chance of winning? I looked him straight in the eye and took a long breath so that my voice wouldn't sound so shaky. Chen Ming, let me ask you, during those 2 years when I didn't know, did you bring her back countless times and lie on our bed and make love with her? No, just this time. He kept retorting anxiously and tried to grab my hand, but I dodged it. Don't touch me anymore, I'm disgusted. There was a chill in my voice. Irritated by the undisguised disgust in my eyes, the light in Chen Ming's eyes dimmed. He realized clearly that I was really going to give up on him. I was bewildered. I was too lucky. I am sorry for you. As he said this, he slapped himself, attracting the guests around to look at me, which made me seem unreasonable. More than that, I remained indifferent and calm. What I find most difficult to accept is your indifference to Xingxing. You were so outrageous as to feed her sleeping pills just to appease your lover. Not to mention that when she had a high fever and cried for her daddy, you were playing and fighting with that woman in bed. I can't imagine if my mother wasn't here. Would she have been burned to death and turned into a fool if she followed you, or even? I closed my eyes and couldn't say any more. 8. It can be said that the reason why Xingxing's condition was so critical this time was closely related to the sleeping pills he fed her. On the way to the hospital, she even experienced vomiting and difficulty breathing. I still remember the scene where my mother was scolded by the doctor at the door of the emergency room, and she couldn't say a word in rebuttal. After all, any responsible adult knows that children should not be given sleeping pills, especially those with weak constitutions, but Chen Ming did just that. Just because she cried and wanted to find me before going to bed, but he was busy flirting with Sun Wan on the phone and had no intention of coaxing her. After I reminded him, Chen Ming instantly realized that Sun Wan's so-called harassing phone call was fake. He could only shake his head desperately and explain dryly, Chow, no, it's not what you think. I really didn't know that Xingxing's situation would be so critical. I couldn't listen anymore and interrupted him directly. You just what? You just didn't care about your daughter. You just wanted to hide the fact that I sponsored Sun Wan for 2 years. You just couldn't resist her temptation and slept with her for 2 years. You just accidentally let her get pregnant with your child. You just didn't want to hurt me. Chen Ming, don't you think you are shameless? Why do you think I would forgive a dirty man who is unfaithful to his marriage? You know what? When I found out you had a mistress, I went to the hospital right away. I was afraid you had an internal disease. Whenever I thought about the possibility of something happening to my child, all the bad emotions in my body took over and made me say bad things to him. Only in this way can I feel better. Seeing that Chen Ming was rendered speechless by what I said, the atmosphere became tense. I put my hands in my pockets and stood up. If you still have any conscience as a human being, please sign the agreement. After you get divorced, you can have as many mistresses as you want and have fun however and wherever you want. No one can interfere with you anymore. I don't want it, I just want you and the baby. With red eyes, he asked me, "Is there really no possibility for us? Joan, I will change. I really will." He covered his face, tears streaming down his face from between his fingers. It can be seen that Chen Ming really regrets it. But I know better that there are only 0 and countless times of cheating. People like him can't change. He would not reject any girl who made him feel something for her, especially an 18-year-old girl who could satisfy his vanity and allow him to treat her with a superior attitude. Meeting his hopeful gaze, I shook my head. "You know I have a cleanliness fetish. We've been together since college, and you know exactly what kind of person I am, but you still chose to gamble. You gambled on my youth, my reluctance to give up the past 10 years of love, and the impact of a divorced family on our children." After saying this, Chen Ming looked at me for more than 10 seconds, his eyes dark and bottomless. After a long time, he said, "Joan, as you said, you are already 32 years old. You are not young anymore. As a second-time married woman with a child, you have no advantage in today's marriage market." He spoke slowly, enunciating each word clearly, making it clear that he was reminding me, even belittling me. "Are you really willing to give me to an intruder? Don't you think it's unfair that the previous generation plants trees and the next generation enjoys the shade?" I didn't react much, I just looked at him coldly, but my words became more direct. "It doesn't matter who eats this bowl of rotten rice. I don't envy her. I just think she has inherited my bad luck. A dirty man like you who can't control his lower body will not just cheat like this once. She will eventually get her comeuppance as a mistress. Although I have experienced betrayal by my partner, I still believe that there is true love that lasts forever in this world. It's just that I don't need it anymore. Love is too luxurious and too exhausting. Now I have enough strength and confidence to provide myself and my children with a good life." 9. Because the evidence of infidelity was conclusive, even though Chen Ming was unwilling, he was forced to sign the divorce agreement. At the same time, I returned to college and donated a building to my alma mater. When I found out that Sunwan was a junior at this school, I really hated Chen Ming. I don't plan to let go of either him or Sunwan, so I deliberately chose class time to go see her. When I arrived, Sunwan was taking notes. She was wearing a white dress and looked beautiful. As a pure beauty in the literature department, she is very popular in the school. I heard that she rejected the love confessions of several boys within half a year. May I ask, what can I do for you?" the teacher in class asked me, following the student's gaze. I glanced around the classroom and said, "I'm looking for Sunwan."
Sunwan.
Everyone looked in her direction, and the girl next to her even pulled her sleeve, trying to remind her. Sunwan stood up trembling, with her head lowered the whole time, not daring to say a word. Perhaps she never thought that I would be so direct and would not give face to her and Chen Ming. In front of everyone, I walked slowly to her, looked her up and down and smiled. "Speaking of which, I am a senior student of yours by several years, and I don't want to embarrass you too much, but you can do anything else, but you have to be a shameful mistress and a mistress who destroys my family. Why are other people's men so good that you are willing to degrade yourself and be shameless?" As I said this, the whole place was in an uproar, and the students started whispering to each other. "So she really is a mistress. The real person has come to slap her in the face. How can it be fake? Someone saw her getting into a luxury car before. But unfortunately, everyone was fooled by her harmless appearance and didn't take it seriously. TSK. She has brought disgrace upon our school. Who said it wasn't true? Besides, this is a senior who gave a speech at school. How dare she do that?" Listening to everyone's discussion, Sunwan's whole body froze and her face became paler and paler, without a single bit of blood left. I don't know, She choked out as if I was the bully. I smiled, raised my eyebrows and asked back, "You don't know? Are you sure? You don't think I'm so impulsive that I'd come to you to settle the score without any evidence?" I took out the file bag and threw it in her face. "The fixed monthly transfer record of 20,000 yuan for the maintenance, and the 500,000 yuan he transferred to you after you first had sex. What else can you explain about this?" The atmosphere was extremely tense and everyone looked at Sunwan, waiting for her response. After a long while, she sobbed and said, "I'm sorry. But I have never thought of destroying your family, nor have I ever thought of asking him to marry me. I can be anonymous, you." Before she could finish, I grabbed her hair and slapped her in the face. A solid and crisp sound echoed in the quiet classroom. She covered her increasingly red and swollen little face and looked at me with tears in her eyes. With a slap, I slapped her again with my backhand. I didn't mean to hit you, but you really disgust me. As expected, you are a morally corrupt, uneducated, and foolish person. How did your parents teach you? Feeling the strange looks from the people around her, Sun Wan's body turned red due to embarrassment, and her eyes became wet, making people feel extremely pitiful. Seeing that some lickers couldn't bear it and wanted to stand up to speak for her, I sneered. My voice was like ice. Is it useful to say sorry? If you are found out to be a mistress, and you just say a simple sorry with red eyes, it will be a mess. Is it true that as long as you like someone, you will rush to hook up with him, her, regardless of whether she has a family or not? You are a person with a higher education. How could you do such a thing without any sense of shame? Anyway, I won't accept your apology. It was you who made my daughter lose her complete family. It was also you who clung to my husband when she was sick, causing her to almost get into trouble. Following my output, Sun Wan, who was completely isolated and helpless, covered her face and ran away. Because her behavior was so outrageous, within an hour the news that she was a mistress spread quickly throughout the school and everyone was talking about it. As the news of my donation of a library to the school spread, Sun Wan became a pariah, and everyone wanted to kill her. In the end, because the impact was so great and affected the school's reputation, Sun Wan was called in for a talk by the school and was expelled, ruining her future. 10. In a blink of an eye, 30 days passed. After leaving the Civil Affairs Bureau, I thought about it, turned to Chen Ming and said, if nothing unexpected happens, it will be difficult for us to meet again in the future. As your ex-wife, I will give you a final piece of advice. Take it easy. Don't get yourself sick and embarrass your daughter. I really mean it. But I didn't expect that he would give me a glare of anger and turn away. As for Sun Wan, after he knew that she was expelled from school and her reputation was ruined, he completely cut off ties with her and didn't even let her see him. Sun Wan left the city in tears. Before leaving, she tried to call me, but I didn't answer. To put it bluntly, she just felt wronged and that everyone was bullying her. But it was all her own choice to get to this point, and she can't blame anyone else. This was also the first time I witnessed Chen Ming's coldness. He has always been shameless. During the cooling off period after the divorce, he did have ideas about my mother and Xingxing, but I rejected them all. At first, when my mother didn't know the truth, she said a few good words for him, but after finding out what he had done, she slapped him and cursed at him. As for the child, I did not choose to hide the truth. I told her the whole story in detail. Because of her, Chen Ming and I were destined to remain inseparable. After all, as the child's father, he had the right to visit her. This was granted by law, and I could not refuse. Xingxing is too young to understand many things, but she would touch my face and ask me softly, "Mom, are you happy now?" On a cold night, the wind was howling outside, but it was still warm indoors. I hugged her tightly, my nose sour. "Yeah, I'm very happy, and I feel very free, as if I have broken free from some kind of restraint. Xingxing, Mom and Grandma love you very much, so don't be sad. Okay? Mom will give you a lot of love, you have no less than them." Good. She finally started crying and acted a little like the way she used to act coquettishly with me. 11. Fearing that she would suffer further harm, I moved to a bigger house and transferred her to a new kindergarten. Although she didn't say it, I knew that my divorce with Chen Ming inevitably affected her. After all, the world of children is sometimes cruel because they have no idea how cruel the things they do are. They just think that you are different from me and that you are not obedient, so your parents will divorce and don't want you. However, she did not show the pain and was sensible enough to bring me the candies that her kindergarten teacher rewarded her with. They say that after eating it, they will feel very happy. So when I found out that she had a fight in kindergarten and stubbornly told everyone that she was not a wild child, I felt helpless for the first time. Even when I found out that Chen Ming had cheated on me, I had never been so devastated. Fortunately, after going to the new kindergarten, she gradually became cheerful and made some good friends. Time flies. That day, because it was her 6th birthday, I took a leave of absence to pick her up from kindergarten. She ran into my arms, her little face was white with a hint of pink, and she was so cute. "Mom, why are you here?" Where is Grandma? Grandma is waiting for us at home, Xingxing. She has cooked many of your favorite dishes for you, and even a birthday cake. I squatted down and tidied up her little locks of hair that were almost untied. Then, Mom, can I bring Zhongli to our home? He is a good friend I just made in kindergarten. She blinked, ran back and came to me holding the hand of a little boy. The boy has delicate features and is very quiet. Of course you can, but you have to get his family's consent. Otherwise, his parents will be very anxious, right? I pinched her nose with a smile and couldn't help teasing her. I will agree, Zhongli. Hurry up and call your father and let my mother talk to him. After giving the instructions, she pulled me aside and whispered in my ear, Mom, you don't know that Zhongli is always picked up by a nanny, but that nanny is very unreliable, and he often has to wait until dark before leaving. Why didn't he tell his family? I don't understand how a nanny can be so brazen. He can't speak. His mother turned into a star and flew away when he was born. His grandparents said he was a lucky star who would harm people. His father has been doing business overseas. When I didn't know about it before, I thought he was shy and always wanted to take him out to play. Later I found out that he couldn't speak. Mom, why don't you tell his dad about this? Let him fire the nanny. When she said this, she put her hands on her hips, her mouth puffed up with anger. All right. I sighed, feeling helpless. As it turned out, the little boy's father was irresponsible. After listening to what I said, he was silent for a long time. So long that I couldn't help but take off my phone to see if he was still on the call. Then please help take care of it. I will book a flight back right away. I looked at the two children beside me. One was talking loudly and the other was listening silently, and finally agreed. But I couldn't help but say one more thing. Mr. Zhong, you are really too weak to guard against children. 12. The doorbell kept ringing. Fortunately, Xingxing was not affected and was playing on the trampoline with Zhongli in the game room. Joan, today is our daughter's birthday. Can't you even let me in to see her? Chen Ming called to complain. No, I'm afraid you'll dirty my land. Chen Ming, if you really want Xingxing's best interests, don't bother her so often. According to your current situation, there are many women willing to bear children for you, but you still have to pester us. Before I could finish, he suddenly broke down and yelled, But I just want you. I just want to go back to the days when we were a happy family of 3. At that time after dinner, we would hold Xingxing's hand, go downstairs for a walk to digest the food, and stroll along Wutong Avenue on holidays, talking about all kinds of interesting things. We were so happy that everyone was jealous of us. Why did it come to this? Joan, you are so cruel to me. I just made a mistake that all men in the world would make. Why are you unwilling to give me another chance to make amends? Sometimes I even doubt whether you have ever loved me. As he spoke, Chen Ming began to cry, and his trembling was very obvious. I was speechless for a moment. Did I love him? Of course I did, but he also stabbed me, who was once obsessed with him, again and again until I was covered in blood. Now that I have finally recovered, how could I possibly go through the same thing again? Why, don't you know what's going on? If you want a family so badly, go find your little lover Sun Wan. Oh, I forgot. She's already married and probably even has a child now. I deliberately provoked him. The only person who knew about this was Chen Ming himself. He said that after Sun Wan returned to her hometown, she quickly accepted a proposal from a gangster. But on the eve of the wedding, she suddenly called Chen Ming's assistant and asked Chen Ming if he still wanted her. If she wanted, she could run away from marriage for him. When Chen Ming found out, he was terrified and immediately asked his assistant to block her phone number. Then he came to the company to meet me and confess his love to me. He thought that time would heal everything and I would forgive him sooner or later. But I never thought that a broken mirror cannot be mended. No matter how hard you try to put it together, the cracks will still be there. Team. The next day at noon, I was choosing rice balls in a convenience store when I felt someone staring at me from behind. When I looked back, I saw a tall and handsome man walking towards me, and he stopped only when he was 2 meters away from me. He looked very strange. His eyes were clearly on my face, but they seemed to be drifting to some distant place. I asked tentatively, "Excuse me, do we know each other?" He came back to his senses, smiled apologetically, and stretched out his hand to me. "Hello, I am Zhongli's father Zhongyi. Thank you for taking care of him yesterday." You're welcome. Any mother would feel bad if she saw this. I responded with a squeeze and quickly withdrew. I just said it casually, but he fell silent. After a long while, he smiled bitterly and said, I am indeed not a qualified father. I couldn't accept the sudden death of my lover, so I chose to escape from here. I was even afraid to see Zhongli. I worked so hard, thinking that giving him a superior life would be enough, but I never expected that he would be bullied by the nanny. He seemed to be distracted again, with a dazed expression and a bitter smile. After a few seconds, he came back to his senses. So thank you very much, and thank you to your daughter for taking him out to play and not minding that he can't talk. Thank you for your son's willingness to tolerate the noise in my house. He chuckled. The atmosphere was extremely awkward. I glanced at my watch and was about to suggest leaving when Chen Ming suddenly appeared, grabbed my wrist, and looked at Zhongyi warily. This year, whenever a man showed interest in me, he would break down and do all kinds of sabotage. This time it is still the same. But as a businessman, Zhongyi is not someone who can be easily squeezed. He ignored Chen Ming, turned around and asked me with a faint smile, Who is this? Oh, my cheating, shameless ex-husband. He has a problem with his brain. Don't pay any attention to him. I have something else to do here, so I'll leave first. Bye. I pried open Chen Ming's fingers one by one, almost in one go, and walked away. 14. In the following half-month, I always met Zhongyi at the gate of the kindergarten, and he came to say hello to me almost every time. So gradually, he and I were able to speak to each other in daily conversation. It was because of this that Chen Ming felt a sense of crisis and began to pester Xingxing every few days, talking about how lonely he was and how much he missed the old days. But Xingxing was on my side after all. She ate dessert and shook her legs to refute him. Dad, Grandma said you did something wrong. Since Mom is happy now, you should stop bothering her. And even if there is a new father, it doesn't matter. Mom still loves me the most. She promised me that she would give me a lot of love. She is not like you. She never lies to me. Although he is just a young child, his words are particularly heartwarming. If I regret marrying Chen Ming, the only thing I don't regret is giving birth to her. She is really as beautiful as an angel. When she noticed me standing at the door, her eyes lit up, and she jumped off the child's chair and threw herself into my arms without hesitation. Chen Ming stood there, staring at us blankly, with an indelible sense of loss and sorrow in his eyes. All the times he had been perfunctory and broken promises to his children for the sake of his lover became boomerangs and hit him right in the middle of the eye. I didn't plan to say hello to him. I held Xingxing's hand and was about to leave, but I heard him ask in a hoarse voice, Chaoan, are you really planning to start a new relationship? He seemed to have misunderstood something, but that was just fine with me. After all, I was really fed up with his pestering me. A dogskin plaster, that's him. What do you think? I asked him. Actually, don't worry that Xingxing will stop recognizing you just because you have a new father. After all, the blood relationship is there and no one can change it, so don't worry. I comforted him with a slight smile on my face. Joan. He stared at me, uttering words through his teeth. You are really cruel. You killed people and destroyed their hearts, but that's all. Same here. My smile widened even more. From that day on, Chen Ming really never bothered me again. He is arrogant and has a strong sense of self-esteem. He has been humbled several times and was slapped in the face by me repeatedly. How could he continue to pester me with a smug look on his face? Later, all I heard about him was that he was a complete wretch. He keeps young models and hangs out in places like Crazy Horse Show all day, having sex with a different woman every day, and is almost not picky about food. 15. A week later, I met Zhongyi again at the kindergarten graduation ceremony. Since it was the graduation ceremony for the older children, it was understandable that he rushed back from abroad. It's just, I don't really like the way he looks at me. It wasn't so much that he wanted to talk to me, but rather that he was looking through me at someone very important to him. Looking not far away, two children are competing in a pair competition with great coordination. Zhongyi suddenly said, Zhongli's muteness is not natural. He was kidnapped when he was 3 years old, which caused him to suffer from speech dysfunction. I can see that he likes you and Xingxing very much. Oh, is that so? I agreed with a dry laugh. Then he clapped his hands and said with a look of surprise, Maybe we could become relatives. I am not an innocent girl who has just entered society, so how could I not understand what he meant? That is why I deliberately kept a relatively safe social distance from him. How could I not accept the fact that I would remarry? Not to mention that Zhongyi still has a dead wife in his heart. Zhongyi is smart and perceptive. He immediately understood that I had no intention of having any emotional relationship with him. Then he nodded and said, "I think I understand. I apologize for my rudeness just now. I hope you don't mind." "It's not bad." I shrugged and walked forward. After only a few steps, he continued, "But I still hope you can try to move on, even if that person is not me. After all, not all men are like your ex-husband who doesn't know how to cherish you." I paused, turned around and said to him very seriously, "It's not like that. You are the one who has been staying where you are. You are the one who has been confined in a circle. I have been moving forward all the time. I know what I want better than anyone else. I'm not afraid of marriage, I just think it's boring. No one can dictate how my life should be except for the identity given to me by the outside world. I'm really happy now." 16. Zhongyi went abroad, and Zhongli left with him. Xingxing was sad for several days because of this, but fortunately her emotions came and went quickly. She made new friends in a blink of an eye and was very happy every day. As for Chen Ming, he was finally in trouble. Because he was often sick and had nosebleeds, he was eventually diagnosed with HIV. I have nothing good to say about him. I just didn't expect that what I said would come true. This weekend, he called and said he wanted to see his daughter. Perhaps thinking I would refuse, he begged me, "Anin, please, I just want to see her. I can tell you clearly that I will only have her as my daughter, and even if something happens to me in the future, all my property will belong to her. Oh, tell me later." A few days later, I still took Xingxing to the hospital, but I didn't go in. I just waited for her outside the ward. Half an hour later, she came out and said to me as she walked, "Mom, Dad asked about you. He asked me why you didn't go in to see him. Because Mom can't give him what he wants, so it's better not to meet." I tried my best to explain to her in words she could understand. Of course, I know what Chen Ming is up to, but it's impossible. Even if he is really terminally ill and about to die, I won't be the slightest bit soft-hearted. All I know is that there is no regret medicine in the world, and there is no turning back in life. Everyone should be responsible for their own actions.